Today we're going to be going through some of our personal collectibles from our fandoms. This was fundamental to why I love Star Wars in this galaxy.
Why you are the way you are. Why do I have an Admiral Akbar? It's a trap. Look at how detailed Mace Windu is. Looks like a little Samuel L. Jackson.
He's about to tell you to take a seat. You didn't want to play with the Jedi. You wanted to be a Jedi.
Yeah.
Only one way, and that's with one of these guys.
Heck yeah. This is the first Dr. Aphra, which is kind of cool.
What started not only my love for Star Wars video games, but video games in general. It's this right here. No fandom does collecting better than Star Wars.
Ingrained in the DNA.
Yeah. So this is probably what solidified your fandom with Star Wars than when you were a kid. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Dunes Sea, a show all about that galaxy far, far away and beyond. My name is Connor.
And I'm Seth.
And today we're diving into the world of collecting. We're surrounded by quite a bit of collectibles here on the set every week. And I think, like many Star Wars fans, our collecting has defined our fandom in many ways, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think that Star Wars and collecting kind of goes hand in hand.
Oh,
I mean, there's the legend of the merchandising rights, giving away the film rights in order to have the stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what made half the reason that made Star Wars so popular is the merchandising.
Is the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's something that's carried through today. You know, there've been, I think, some high points of Star Wars merchandise, some low points of Star Wars merchandise.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it before, but like Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, which I have a figure down here on the set for. You know, this is a newer figure from the vintage collection, but it's like, you know, this was made to sell toys, that show, and it ended up being one of the best pieces of art in Star Wars. And so it's kind of cool how, yeah, is this stuff made to sell toys? Well, sometimes, but that doesn't mean it's not art, and it doesn't mean it's not good art.
Yes.
I think that's really cool. So,
and the toys can influence the art. It's like a weird symbiosis, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. In the best of times, it does, for sure. I think that it can get into soulless territory, but Star Wars, I think, is unique in that it doesn't have that, like, it doesn't have that hanging over it, if that makes sense. Like sometimes you'll watch a movie. I think the MCU is bad about this.
Where it's like, oh, that's just there to sell stuff.
Yes. Where they always have a new costume. Somebody can't just live and have a costume.
Yeah.
You know, every Spider-Man's got to have a new suit every time.
Yep.
You know, Iron Man's got to have a new suit, which, I mean, it works for that character.
Yes.
But everybody has to have changes in suits. And you're like, that was definitely there just to sell the toys.
Yeah.
Whereas with Star Wars, I feel like it's by nature of the property, everything can kind of sell toys.
Yes.
You know?
But also at the same time, George had that idea, I think, with like the merchandising, but at the same time, a lot of the costume changes in Star Wars make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like they're just changing to change.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, I think by nature of Star Wars, it works for toys. Like everybody wants a lightsaber. Everybody wants a blaster. A stormtrooper is an awesome action figure. So is Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So is Luke Skywalker. So is Princess Leia. So is Han Solo.
Yeah.
You know, and that doesn't always work for a lot of things. I think that we're seeing that with some of the newer shows, actually, like Skeleton Crew just got a Drop of Black series.
Yeah.
And I really love that Wolfman pirate captain. He looks awesome.
Yeah.
Jude Law's character looks okay for a figure, but some of the other characters, it's like, it's not quite as inspired. And I think that that's not the fault of the toy, but the fault of the character design.
And then too, though, maybe in time, after you watch the show, then maybe you'll be like, oh, I love this character.
Well, yeah, that's half of it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, sometimes it's not so much about the design, but that's, I think, the magic of early Star Wars, like the beginning. Both, like Darth Vader makes an awesome action figure, whether or not you know who Darth Vader is or not.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas like some of these newer characters, I think Neil looks awesome. I'll be real. That kind of looks like a fun figure to have. But some of the other characters, it's like, maybe after I watch the show, I'm like, I got to have that to represent that character on my shelf.
Yeah.
Right now, I look at them like, they're just dudes.
Just a motley crew.
Just kids in vaguely looking Star Wars costumes.
I was going to say Jude Law looking like Star-Lord.
Yeah. I mean, really.
Yes.
So it's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
So today we're going to be going through some of our personal collectibles from our fandoms.
Yeah.
And me personally, I'm going to be kind of ranging them from what was least impactful to my fandom, but still very important to like why I like to collect it, to this was fundamental to why I love Star Wars in this galaxy.
Why you are the way you are.
Exactly.
I got you. I'll try and do similar. I just brought stuff. I know that some of this stuff they've seen before. in our Christmas episode. Go check that out.
There's a little bit of overlap for me too.
There's a little bit, but like I tried to find new things to talk about, and like I really tried to look through that lens of like, what made me me.
Yeah.
Along with just things that are cool. I do want to, before we get started, if that's okay, I brought an extra show and tell thing.
Oh, okay. You brought an honorable mention.
I did. Well, no, I just brought something.
Okay.
That I wanted to share with the class, if you're okay with that.
Well, yeah, let's go.
Yeah. So during our Lord of the Rings stuff, I talked about that I got a card graded. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I got it. I was going to show it to you. Is that
the One Ring?
I got the One Ring graded foil, and I got it is a near mint to mint, and it's a gem mint 8. So there you go. Yeah.
And that's a decent grade, right?
Yeah. That like, there's not a lot, but check that out. Like, look at the foiling. It's only on the writing.
Oh yeah, I know. And this is, what set is this from? Because this is not from the newer Magic sets.
Oh no,
this is an old school.
That is a TCG from 2001. That is just called the Lord of the Rings.
That's
TCG.
very cool. Very cool.
Anyway,
hey,
my
magic.
favorite.
We're both on theme.
Yeah, dude, that looks beautiful in the light. Like
it does.
Yeah,
I wish. I don't know if the camera's really capturing this, but you can see the
foiling is only on the writing and then on the power and toughness.
Yeah, that's really
the power and vitality. Yeah,
that's really cool.
Just
Isildur's Bane.
Yes, and I love the name. Yeah. I'm here. I should use the actual terms. They're Christian names. It's the strength and vitality. Those are the two. Yeah. Of the care. Yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to show that off. And that's go check out our Lord of the Rings stuff. Cause I think it's in our history of Lord of the Rings that I talked about that I was like, oh, I have this card and it's going off to get graded.
Okay.
And I got it back.
It's very cool.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I'm a little sad. I thought for sure this was going to be a 9 because like there's this little white spot that definitely was not there. When I sent it. And so part of me wants to crack it open again and try again.
And try to send it back.
Yeah. And just maybe the grader was having a bad day. But I'm like, 8's nothing to shake a stick at. Like, I mean,
especially how old that is. And you've had that sitting in a binder?
Just a box. It wasn't even in a binder.
Wow. Yeah,
it was just in a box.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of like, it's cool. It's got a story. And also again, it's the One Ring. I mean, it's so cool. I mean, yeah. Anyway, so I just wanted to share with the class. That's all. I appreciate you for indulging me.
I mean, your show too, brother. You don't have to.
Yeah, but I mean, here we veered off. That's the whole thing that I'm like.
No, I mean, it informs your fandom for Lord of the Rings, and that's cool.
Yes, and I was going to say, well, I mean, just like.
I'm sure this is not the last card we're going to see today.
Oh, we're going to talk about some cards. Yeah. So yeah, good stuff. Anyway.
All right. Well, I don't have any honorable mentions, so to speak. We're not really ranking these anyway, but. I guess I'll go next on sort of my most recent Star Wars collecting obsession, which I blame Grayson from Mortis FM for fueling this fire. And I just have this to represent it, and it is my love for Star Wars hardbacks. So I've had like some paperbacks, and I've had a couple hardcovers over the years, but I never read these as a kid, these in particular, and I read a couple of like the young reader novels. The Galaxy of Fear. I think I've talked about those before.
Glove of Darth Vader.
Yeah. Those, but I never read like the good stuff.
Yeah.
Until we started doing Tales from the Archives.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, if you haven't seen last Sunday, we did cover on our live stream the first half of this. It was very exciting. Be sure to go check that out. Mm-hmm. So with collecting, and this kind of you'll see this as a theme when it comes to like video games and stuff. I only like to have the hardbacks, and I like to have the originals of things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, reprints are cool, and I like reprints in certain things.
Yeah.
But I like to have the originals of a lot of things. And I if I'm not mistaken, this is a first edition. It's not in awesome shape. It's okay. It was an old library copy, but it is signed by Timothy Zahn when we met him at ICCC. That was really cool. You can see it on this page here. And I've been, just kind of, it's something to hunt for, which is also really fun, and reading's good for you. And it's, I think that's a lot of fun.
Well, it's as you said, that was in a library. Like that is a cool piece of history right there.
Yeah, somebody.
I think eventually, I hate to say it, I think eventually we'll drift away from books altogether. That like,
no, books will stay. Books will stay.
I mean,
maybe not physical. You're talking about like digital.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I think eventually that like they will kind of be phased out altogether. That
I don't
like,
know.
But I think there'll be a novelty rather than like,
I would push back against that because
I
people
hope
always
so.
say that in video games too, that
Yeah.
like that's going away, but I
mean,
don't think so. People
but
love physical media.
Granted, they said that in the opening of Ghostbusters. Print is dead. Like they said so, but I mean that was in the 80s.
I think there was
so
a
yeah.
time where
Yeah.
things shifted a lot more toward like ebooks and like digital,
Yeah.
like movies and digital games and stuff. But
Yeah.
you're seeing a massive uptick in like DVD sales, VHS sales,
Yeah.
even Blu-ray sales,
Mhm.
and things like physical media is on the rise because at any point, you know, you don't own your streaming
service.
services,
Yeah, it could
any
be
of that stuff.
pulled.
They can
Yeah.
pull the plug.
Yeah. Heck,
Right.
you could even download things and then they pull the plug and things like that.
I know,
yeah.
and that sucks.
It does.
So that's part of the reason why I've been collecting these. And I have a very curated collection right now when it comes to books. I've been collecting the Bantam covers, as Mortis FM Grayson pointed out to me. I think it's only 13, and so that's a very easy set.
Yeah.
Quote unquote easy, you know, because there are so many books.
Yeah.
Hardcovers, you know, from new canon to Legends. Because what I really like, what draws me to these is I don't want the Legends banner.
Yeah.
I want it to be the original.
Just that saga continues.
Yeah, I love that. And so I have this. I have the full Air trilogy, all first editions. I believe, like I said, I get kind of confused with this because I'm a newer book collector. I'm also I collect Tolkien books as well. That's my two obsessions right now.
Yeah.
And when it comes to collecting books, but yeah, I've got several of the new Thrawn trilogy, a couple hardbacks that I've had over the years. But I heard this recently, and this is what I love about book collecting and also video game collecting. I did find myself starting to get stressed because I was like, I got all these books. I need to read them like now, you know, like it's that like accumulation, right?
Mhm.
I heard this said that's like, you know, your collection is not a chore list, it's a wine cellar. And it's there for the occasion.
When you're ready.
Yeah. And so that's always been
Okay.
that's always been my mindset with video game collecting. I'll go more into that later.
Mhm.
Spoiler alert. But I think that's a really good mindset with books because, you know, it's always good to crack open a book and read. And I'm happy that I've been able to start to build that collection to on a rainy day, literally a rainy day, maybe a snow day or something. I can just pop in my recliner and crack one of these open and there we go.
Yeah.
But as a kid, that's more informing my fandom right now. And as a kid, this was one of my favorite books. And that is the 2000. I think this is from 2006, Ultimate Visual Guide. And I read this thing cover to cover so many times. I mean, this had stuff from Legends that I'd never heard about before because I like I said, didn't read the book, so I wasn't super familiar. And so this is how I learned about Thrawn. This was one of my favorite pages right here.
Oh, with the galaxy map.
The galaxy map. I would study that thing. This is where I learned about my favorite Sith Lord. He was always my favorite, Darth Nihilus. I just loved the way this guy looked.
Gotcha.
I used to draw
Planet Eater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to draw comic books with my friends, and my OC, if you will, was heavily based on Darth Nihilus.
Gotcha.
He had a very similar mask, and I knew nothing about the guy's story. I just thought he looked cool as a kid. But yeah, so that was these kind of books are what I was drawn to as a kid. Was like the visual guides. I used to, we'd go to Walmart, you know, because they used to sell these.
Yeah,
they probably still do.
They'd be like in the middle. Yeah.
Yep. And I would just while my mom was grocery shopping or whatever, I just hang out there. I just sit on the floor in the book aisle, and just read the visual guides. I used to have so much fun with them, and I kept up with them for quite a while. This was the only one I ever owned, though. Yeah. I wasn't able to own any of the other ones. So books are a new obsession, and it's kind of fun to explore that side of the fandom. It feels like I've unlocked a new corner of the galaxy, if you will, because like the Heir to the Empire trilogy, Thrawn trilogy, a lot of these Bantam books that I've never heard of before. There's like I, Jedi. I've heard that's really good. There's
Last Command. Or not Last Command. What's the prequel? It has to be a prequel because is it Outbound Flight?
Yes, Outbound Flight.
Yeah, there you go. That's in that collection too, right?
I don't think it's part of the Bantam series, but it is like one of those older Legends books.
Yes.
No, it's not one part of the. I don't think it's part of the Banthams because the Bantam was like that was a publisher.
Yeah.
So they did like 13 books before they moved on to I forget the publisher after that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So as you can see, I got some of the books here on display. That this was a gift from Will the Force. I've been reading a little bit of those. I've been enjoying these Tolkien books. That's been really fun. But I think that's kind of a healthy collecting hobby, you know, because that's something that I can pass on to my kids. And that's what's like physical media in general. That's part of why I like to collect it is that, you know, I have this, I don't want to say fantasy because it's not necessarily a fantasy, but it's like I live in the woods and I've got no access to anything, but I've got this collection of physical media, that I can pass on.
Yeah.
And we don't need to go out, and into town, to find new stuff.
Yeah.
Got it all right here. Everything you need.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of part of my reason for my obsession. So
Okay.
that's been my current collecting hobby right now. I go to bookstores all the time. Now, probably twice, 3 times a week right now.
Just looking,
just
Hunting.
trying to find. And I love the hunt. That's going to be a theme you'll see whenever I shift a hobby. I love the hunt. That's my favorite thing. I don't like ordering things online because it'd be so easy just to finish that Bantam collection online on eBay or something. But something about just walking into a bookstore, you don't know what you're going to find, going into that science fiction aisle, looking, and then oh, there's one I've never seen before.
Yeah.
So hit me. What's yours?
I guess we could start with
the
little sand crawler. Micro Machines. Yes. Hold on a second.
I thought that was going to be it. I thought it was just going to be that. What is that?
Oh, it's
what is that box you have?
It looks like a book and it says South Africa on it. I don't know, but like it's I don't know.
I thought it was the Red Book of Westmarch from Lord of the Rings at first.
Oh no, it just I've just got little ships in here. You remember these guys from Pizza Hut?
Oh wow!
Yeah, you could open these up, and here's a little Duros, and then you could look. I got a little Cantina playset right here. It's just
that's sick.
Yeah,
Cad Bane before Cad Bane.
At these were at Pizza Hut. We were going down to Florida, and we were just like, "What are those?" Like, I don't even know how I saw them. And they're like, "Oh yeah, they were this thing we used to give away." And I was like, "Can I have one?" And they're like, "Sure, whatever." And they just gave it to me. And yeah, I have this like Duros head.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so anyway, I guess I don't really. So I have like you have it over there. Like I remember getting the little Battle of Hoth for Christmas one year, and then that came with the AT-AT. And then also I got a little pack that had the Sandcrawler in it, and I always used to play that. Like they drive along and then smack it and knock it over and stuff like that. Yeah, that like I don't know why the Jawas just showed up and helped out the Empire or the rebellion and everything. And I had the Tantive 4 all in the garage along with the Y-wing because I didn't have an X-wing, and so yeah, those were like my first 4, and so. Yeah, I think this was kind of what started me on the path of I like small things. I like little detailed things like cuz I mean, have you sat and stared at one of these?
Yeah.
Okay, that I mean like they're
great.
Super detailed. Like it is insane for like how long ago these were where it's like this looks just like it. It's kind of crazy and it's this little guy, he still sits on my shelf. Like he is not in with this stuff. I don't know why. I've just always liked the Sandcrawler.
It's awesome.
Hanging out beyond the Dune Sea. So you'll see more that it kind of influenced, but I just, take a look. And there's lots of Star Trek guys in there too. Cause I had like a Star Trek. I
was wondering because I saw this in the corner. I was like, I don't recognize that.
Yeah. I went through a Star Trek phase for a while too. And then you could see that
this is cool.
Yeah. It's Cloud City, baby.
That's awesome.
This will just show you, check this out. They're like, so like my friends and I, we had these like little, these were the backs of the boxes that showed off everything. And look, my friend Josh's name is still on this one. So this was his at one point.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's just crazy. And then I liked, oh my gosh, see, I nerded out so hard about this stuff too, is like, this gave little details about all the ships. Here I am showing off the 2 Star Trek things that are in here, but you
canceled.
Canceled. And then there's all of that. And then I got that too when I was in 6th grade. Someone gave me that. I don't know why that's in here. But yeah, that I was a cool guy.
That's awesome.
That's always stuck with me that I like little things. I like, you'll see that like, I like Great Mouse Detective.
Yeah.
I like The Rescuers Down Under. I think that with me, like kind of growing up in the 90s, that like, that was just like the perspective, like, Indian in the Cupboard, Stuart Little, like that. It's I love that scene in Ant-Man when they're fighting on the train set and stuff like that, that I'm kind of like, I love perspective like that, if that makes sense. So yeah.
It's funny you say that. I didn't know this about you. I also, as a kid, loved tiny things.
Yeah.
I had so many. I missed Micro Machines, but I did have like the Hot Wheels because they were pretty small. They were bigger than those, but they were they were all like, none of them were to scale. They were all about the same size, right?
Yeah.
So I had a lot of the die-cast Hot Wheels ships.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved anything that I could hold in the palm of my hand.
Yeah.
And I had one of my favorite set of toys, I wish I still had them, was from Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually. They came in little bubble blisters. They had like a plastic, like semi-opaque card, and then one of the dual monsters there.
Yeah.
So I had like the Egyptian god cards, I had Dark
Mhm.
Magician, Dark Sage, but they were all tiny. They were like this big, like
Yeah.
the size of the Micro Machine guys,
Yeah.
And I don't know why, I was drawn very similarly to you to those tiny things. And
Yeah.
that's interesting that you connected it to like Indian in the Cupboard, 'cause I loved that movie too as a kid.
Yeah.
Or like Stuart Little. I
Yeah.
also loved that movie too as
Yeah.
a kid.
Isn't that weird
Yeah.
though? That like that was such like a vibe
Yeah,
in
being
like
small.
the early 90s.
Yeah.
Yes, is like being small.
Well,
It's like,
did you know anybody with a train set?
so this is, I was wondering if we were going to get into this. Like the first like fandom I can remember is like, I loved Thomas the Train.
Really?
Yeah.
I did too.
That was like my first like fandom, if you will, that like I
Okay.
had like all those like die cast. I had like all of them.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
I still have them somewhere that like, and I could, it's crazy how much those are still in my head that like I was really into Thomas
Yeah.
the Tank Engine. Yeah. That like, yeah.
That's cool. I had at
Yeah.
my dentist office. They
Mhm.
had those magnetic. You remember?
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. They're wood. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
used to love going to the dentist specifically. Or
So
no,
you could
excuse me, that was my pediatrician. I used to love going to the pediatrician
could play around with
specifically to
it?
play with those.
Yeah.
The reason I asked about the train set is because I never really made this connection, but my grandpa,
Mhm.
he lives in Arkansas. We would go every year on Thanksgiving to visit him, and he had a massive train set. Like
Okay.
I'm talking, it would take up a good section of this room.
Yeah.
And it was very detailed. And
Yeah.
he had like all these trains you could put up. There is this, one of the things I love doing is there was a stop where the milk guys would unload the milk.
Yeah.
I just loved watching that because I mean, it all worked.
And
It was
See,
very mechanical.
I like stuff like that. Like I
Yeah.
like to watch it. But to answer your question, I had a train set, but it was bigger, if that makes sense.
Okay.
That like it was a track that would go around the room and everything like that.
Yeah,
That it
gotcha.
was, but it was bigger. And I wish it was a steam engine. It was not a steam engine. Like
Okay.
that I'm like,
Yeah.
I nerd out hard, like whatever, like I have to stop if like I see a steam engine and I'm like, I just have to like, I don't know, maybe that's like you know how like they say that all men eventually will be obsessed with World War II at some point in their life. I think the same is also that like
Everybody has a train face.
all men appreciate steam powered things.
Yeah.
That they have to stop and just like marvel at it where it's
Yeah.
like, dang, someone made that.
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah. That like, that is, anyway.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, unlocked a memory there. That's fun.
Yeah. For you? Or
Yeah.
what do you mean?
Yeah, because
Okay.
that train set, that was highlight of my year. Every year was going
Yeah,
to my
going and
grandpa's
checking out
and
that train
checking
set.
out the train set.
Yeah.
Because he always had something new that he added. you
Oh,
know?
and making it part of that little world and everything like that.
There was a little neighborhood on one. I'm telling you, this thing was huge.
Yeah.
And there was a little neighborhood on one of them. There was an Oscar Mayer Wiener car.
Yeah.
Just sitting there. That was always just found it so amusing that in this like suburban neighborhood,
And it's
everybody's
chilling
going
right there.
It's just there's in somebody's driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had my favorite. I'm on such a tangent here. My favorite was there was a trolley. It was just a single car trolley.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It was yellow and it had like red stripes on it.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was so cool. I just watch it go. But like I said, I loved that there was a steam train.
Yeah.
That had the milk freight.
Yeah.
And it would stop. I never have looked into how these work. I should because it's pretty fascinating. But it would dock, at the station,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was this little like animation is not the right word, but like
A movement.
the guy would come up and then milk would literally get unloaded onto this like little
Truck.
area.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
I was mesmerized by it. It was just so fun. That is probably why I like a lot of the little things too.
Yeah.
I've never made that connection, but
It's cool.
yeah, it's pretty neat.
It is cool. And again, something about a steam engine.
It is something
It's so
about a steam
cool.
engine.
Yeah. It's so
Yeah.
cool.
As has been kind of a bit of an ongoing joke, and I don't know if people think that I am joking, but I do love coins quite a bit.
I don't believe it.
Well, I think that some of our friends that we met at ICCC thought that was a joke.
Yeah.
No, I do love coins because there's a thing that happens in our group chat. Whenever Hot Toys announces a new hot toy,
Yeah.
sometimes they'll add as a special edition bonus that
Commemorative
coin. I'm like,
coin.
I got it. Now I got to get it.
Yeah, exactly.
I've always loved coins. And this goes back to, and you'll see how this connects to Star Wars in a minute. I have quite a few Star Wars coins, some really cool ones. But it goes back to every time we would visit my grandma. I had a grandma who lived in Chicago, and my grandpa would give me. He had a little tin, and this is actually a bit of a bittersweet memory. He passed away not too long ago, and my grandma gave me this tin, and which was a pretty big deal because every time I would go, he would open up this tin. It was like I don't know what this tin was. It was just this big green circular tin, and it was filled with half dollars. And every time I would visit, he would give me one of these half dollars. And so it was really special that, well, again, bittersweet memory at the funeral I went to, and my grandma was like, "Hey," before I came in, she handed it to me, and she said he wanted you to have this. So that was really special. But so I loved. I think that was part of it. And then I would there in my town that I grew up in, there's a pretty famous coin store. They do a lot of online stuff now.
Minting and stuff like that.
They don't. I don't think they do their own minting, but they were a marketplace for coins is the best way I can describe it. And I would often go because it was like it wasn't far from my house. I'd walk or ride my bike down there, and they had this little thing where it was they were either like $1 or you could just take them. It was just free coins, and it's just foreign currency like pennies and stuff. But to me, I was like, this is, I'm finding pirate treasure here. This is so cool. And I would go through and dig through that all the time. I'd always beg my mom, like, "Hey, can we go here today? I really want to go." And became very foundational. And so I had at both my dad's and my mom's, I always had a little chest for coins. And so I think that's where it all started. And I did get Star Wars coins over the years. So I didn't bring everything, but I do have a few I'm going to show off. And so many of you will recognize these. These are the old Power of the Force coins, that came with a lot of those figures back in the day. Power of the Force, Power of the Jedi, I think had them. And this is one that I still have. It's you got the three homies from episode 1. You got Darth Maul, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Qui-Gon Jinn, and then Star Wars: The Phantom Menace on the opposite side. And so those were always a lot of fun to collect. I always really enjoyed those.
This don't have that weight to it though.
No, and that's part of the reason I don't like collecting them now is because they don't feel substantial. They feel very cheap.
Yep.
But what do feel substantial are challenge coins.
Okay.
And so that's something that I still like to. If I see a cool one, I'll pick it up today. And Will the Force gifted me these at ICCC. They're these 2 Ahsoka challenge coins. So cool.
Now, educate me. What's a challenge coin?
So they call them challenge coins because typically they are given out for challenges for like a race or like maybe there's an event or something. It's something that
kind of like a medal.
It's like a medal basically, but they're not always just used for that. They're just called challenge coins.
Okay.
So on this side you have Ahsoka. You have Ahsoka from Rebels, Ahsoka from Clone Wars, and on the opposite side you have the World Between Worlds as kind of the backdrop, and then embossed in are her lightsabers.
Ooh.
I think these are slick. They're like enamel, all of it. I really do love a well-made challenge coin.
Yeah.
I could go and I'm thinking about all these tangents I could go on, but it's not related to Star Wars, so I'm not going to because I have so many more sitting over there.
Yeah.
Like I have one of my favorites, probably my favorite coin that I own is I have a denarius from the time of Jesus that I got in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Which I think is insanely cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I have over there, I have a bunch of other like there was a series done for like the time of Jesus that my mom got me. That they all
That's very old.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the coins are not from the time. Well, that coin
or it just looks like it.
No.
Okay.
So that coin is the denarius is from it's dated anywhere from like 0 AD to like 132.
Okay,
AD,
so at some point maybe.
Some point,
Okay.
But then there's the coins that are over there they're just commemorative coins. They're modern, but they're silver coins, but they're embedded with the like sand or rock from places that Jesus walked.
Gotcha.
That Jesus walked, which is really cool. It's a series that they did, and my mom would get them every year because, as I'm about to, I'll mention that actually in a minute because my next coin is one that you gave me.
Yeah.
Which is this Revenge of the Sith limited edition coin that came in the Target exclusive pack for the Revenge of the Sith DVD, the Revenge of the Sith DVD set.
Yeah.
I love this coin. I think it's so cool.
I'm happy you like it because I've had that since I bought it from Target. And I was like, yeah, it's cool. But then when you told me that you really like coins, I was like, I should just give him this. Did you know that existed before?
I didn't. Well, I knew because the reason this came up was in one of our Tales from the Archive stream, Tony held up his Revenge of the Sith special edition that had this in there, and I was like having like my own conversation with you in the background. What is that? I've never seen that before.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I texted you and I was like, I'll just give you one. Don't
Yeah,
worry
yeah.
about it. Yeah. Then I was like, because I'm like, I have that at home. It's
I
just
was-
sitting on like I had it. Yeah.
I was trying so hard not to stop the stream because I was so like I couldn't believe I didn't know this existed because a coin and it's Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Man, because I like to have. I know it sounds silly, but I like to just have a lot of times a coin in my pocket.
Yeah.
Just something to like fidget with and stuff.
Mhm.
And like I have a few over there. I have a septum from Skyrim I carry sometimes. I have an old challenge coin from Assassin's Creed that I got back when the game came out.
Mhm.
I have a couple like they're called hobo coins. There's a whole history behind that. Again, I'm trying not to get too deep on the tangents.
Yeah.
You can look that up. But that a friend of mine gifted me. I have a bunch.
Yeah.
But the coolest ones in my collection when it comes to Star Wars are these three. So I mentioned my mom and this place that I grew up had this place in that town. Well, since becoming it's like the past 10 years or so, my mom has worked at this place, and she has been able to get some really cool, really rare coins.
Mhm.
And it started with the Footsteps of Jesus coins, but then it was shortly after Carrie Fisher had passed away. She had gifted me this coin, which I'm going to see if I can get out. And it comes in this just really ornate, like ornate box. And if you can see it right there, it's a silver coin. It's never been out of its case. And you'll notice this is legal tender.
Mhm.
Like it's an actual legal coin. It's called a new. I'm not sure exactly how it's pronounced. It has Elizabeth II on it. It's a $2 coin. I believe this is it comes from a New Zealand mint.
Mhm.
She got me this one in 2016, and that's the year she died. I don't know. I don't think this was to commemorate her
Just
specifically for
happened
that.
to line up.
It just was coincidental that happened
Yeah.
to line up. But it's got this like little certificate of authenticity inside of it, which is really neat. And these actually, we saw some of these at ICCC, and I had no idea how much money these go for now.
Well, as you
which
said,
is-
they're limited runs and
yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
they were limited to 10,000. So there's limited to a 10,000 mintage. Year of issue 2016, country of issue, is new. So it's a $2 denomination, and yeah, so really, so it started with this one, and there are quite a few in this series. And my mom got me 3 of them. She got me this Princess Leia one. That was the first one. Then she got me my boy Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. You looking out over that sunset?
He is
Yeah.
well, not it doesn't have the binary sunset. He's standing.
Oh.
He's standing next to the land speeder.
So
out
he's
on
looking at
Tatooine.
Owen and Baru.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But
They're on fire.
again, really
Yeah.
cool. I mean, and this was from a 2017. It was the year right
Mhm.
after. So that was really neat. And I love this coin. I have it displayed on my desk over there most of the time. And then the last one, she said she searched and could not find one in the original case in their system. This is the 2018, and this is Darth Vader.
Rated.
But it is, yes, it is. I don't know if these are called great, if they're graded or these are slabbed.
Yeah.
I don't know. It works
Well,
differently
it's
with
put into a
coins.
slab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's different with coins. Because coins started this, for
Yeah.
like cards and stuff. But this one's really cool too. And it holds a lot of value if they're in the slab as well, as far as I understand. I've been tempted to crack it
Yeah.
and have this be a carry coin, but I can't find myself to do it. Because my mom told me that. She's like, just crack it. Who cares? Because, I don't care about the value so much. It's just as special because my mom gifted it to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so these are really, goes out. Those coins have always been really neat. I think that they're just fun to, like I said, they're fun to fidget with. I've always had personal connections with them. And I think it's neat that now, and sort of this interesting twist of fate, if you will, like my mom now works at that place. And every year she has like some insane coin that she has. It's usually it's a Christmas tradition basically at this point.
Yeah.
Like I have up there, I really love the Knights Templar.
Mm-hmm.
And I have this commemorative Knights Templar coin that is insane. It's so cool.
Yes. I've looked at it.
Yeah, it's really
cool.
neat.
Yeah.
Like I've got a couple Widow's Mites over there. Those are cool.
Now that I see the back of this, I play with a guy. I play against the guy who uses it as his initiative token.
One of those?
Yes, it's one of these. It's got the falcon on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, seeing her on it, that I'm like, wait, I've seen that.
Interesting.
Yes, because that's how we figure out who's going first. He flips it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's in a case. It's like how the other ones are.
Yeah, in one of these
Yep, it is.
one of these coin cases.
Mhm.
Got it.
And that's what he
That's
uses.
interesting.
Yep, and that's what he uses as his
I
initiative
don't know
token.
that I've seen the one with the Falcon on. I
Yeah.
know there's one. I think
'Cause
there's
he
one
always-
with Yoda, and I think there's one with Han Solo.
Yeah.
Han Solo and Chewbacca. But
Mhm.
yeah, so these are my three. I can't decide. Probably Luke. Well, no, probably the Princess Leia one, because I've always said, you probably heard me say this on the show, my mom kind of reminds me of Princess Leia.
Yeah.
Like she's just kind of got that like fiery
That
attitude,
spunk. Yeah.
you know, and especially like Carrie Fisher in the sequel trilogy really reminds me of my mom.
Mhm.
So that was that coin of Princess Leia is always really special. She gives me Princess Leia stuff all the time. It's really funny. I've got like before I even really got into collecting figures as an adult, she would give me like these Power of the Force Leia figures, which I have. I need to redisplay them because after building the set,
Mhm.
I used to have a shelf right here that displayed a lot of those things.
Yeah.
And I've not since hung it back up. But yeah, so coins, it's not a meme. I do love coins for real.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
He allegedly likes these things.
So I'm always on the lookout. I love just
Challenge coins.
challenge coins.
Kids.
Love just finding a new challenge coin. There's a
Gotcha.
couple. I see them on Etsy sometime, and I'm always like, man, there's a Gandalf one.
Yeah.
I see all the time. I'm like, dude, I gotta have this. Is so cool, but I'm not pulled the trigger.
I gotcha.
It's a very similar one. He's got a Gandalf one and a Yoda one that look very similar.
Ooh.
Like-
Ooh.
I could we could do a whole episode about coins, and literally only I would care. So I think that we gotta move on to the next thing.
So I'm like, this is another like kind of me by myself. Like the micro machines also were a me by myself. I think that this will grow into like how my fandom is kind of like involved with other people, if that makes sense too.
Okay.
Yeah, that like becoming part of the community. But like, so I've shown these off. We've used them before in our stuff. Is like the Power of the Force guys, and again the hours sat on the couch or on the floor playing with these guys. It's kind of nuts. And then getting them from even like as my friends kind of gave up on it or whatever, like even like I kind of adopted their collections too. So like
Okay.
when I look at some of these guys, then I'm like, oh man, like yeah, this Boba Fett was my brother's. It like it's just kind of wild. So
Little memories that are just kind of solidified in plastic.
very much so. Very, very much so. And just yeah, it's just kind of wild that like, and it's such a weird group of people too that I have that like, yeah, I've got Han and Chewbacca, but then I don't know, my mom would randomly like when she would find ones that she thought was cool. Cause gosh, man, what a time. Cause like Power of the Force, there were, there were so many, and there was so many that were always on sale and stuff like that. But like, why do I have an Admiral Akbar? I don't know. It's a trap. Like, yeah, that's so crazy to me. Like, this was my first Luke Skywalker. This is from Shadows of the Empire.
Hey.
Yeah, there's the dude. Like, and he never even dresses up like this in the book, as far as I understand. He's just running around in his normal gear. Like, it's so strange. I don't know. Well, to sell toys.
Yeah.
That's why they did it. Yeah. So
They're cool looking toys too.
Oh yeah,
I love
they're great.
that vacuum sealed C-3PO there because they stopped doing that.
Oh, to make him
after the Saga collection. Yeah, that's called. I think it's called vacuum seal.
To make him like
something
kinda-
like that.
to make him kind of shiny looking.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
how they do
I
like the
like-
fake metal look.
Yeah.
Fake chrome.
I was gonna say I think it's cool that I got the man and I got the legend.
Yeah,
So yeah,
You got the homies.
I got the couple like the true ones, and I just good stuff. And I like, I don't know if you can tell on there that like under the light, like so he's translucent up here. So then like his his little sensor like lights up and stuff like that. Like it's the little stuff, Got a Yoda, comes with a backpack. Like it's good. So yeah, but like the whole thing with these guys is it's good. It's good memories. But I mean like this was still alive, just kind of Seth hanging out for the most part on the couch, doing his own thing.
Making your own stories.
Making my own stories. But don't worry, as the story continues, I find other people that like this stuff.
Yeah.
And then we continue to make our own stories.
Who doesn't love your toys as a kid? Right?
It's true.
How it
Yeah.
evolves
Yeah.
and Power of the Force was such a special time too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite one?
I don't know. I was just kind of like thinking that. Well, Boba Fett he's the one that means the most, but I didn't bring him. That I had him just yeah.
Why does he mean the most?
I mean, he was the first one that I got. And as a kid, man, I don't know. Like, I was so into Boba Fett,
Mhm.
like talking about those visual dictionaries that I had the Boba Fett one memorized. I mean, like I could you could point to part of him and I could tell you what weapon was on him and stuff like that. That I don't know, but to answer that question, I really like this Leia as Boosh or Bausch, however you want to say it. I always thought that was so cool when I was a kid that you could take her helmet off and everything. And I think the helmet, this stuff looks so good. I mean, it looks
Yeah.
Why is this so hard now? You and I talk about that, but that is crazy to me. I like that she's holding the thermal detonator. I like the Jawas a lot. That's funny with the sand crawler and stuff. But I think the Jawas are cool because their eyes light up. Can you see that their eyes are glowing? Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting with the translucent tops.
That's
I think
that's so. What a fun idea that truly, and I think
toys were more toyetic back then. Right now, it's
collectibles.
They focus so much on collecting and realism.
We're old though too. That's the other thing that I think that's part of it.
Well, I do think that it is a difference though. Look at that. I mean, putting a little window up there to make their eyes light up. Yeah, that definitely takes away from the realism. It takes away from the photographic ability of them. Yeah, but it's more toyetic. Definitely. It has higher playability. I think there is there's a line sometimes between toys and collectibles, and I think right now we're leaning way more into collectible territory rather than toys. Yeah, which is I think sad in a way because there's not really an alternative for kids. They have, I know Hasbro has those three, I forget what they're called, that 3 3/4, 5 POA, 5 point of articulation.
Yeah, where they can just move their arms up and down.
But
and
even then, they just seem so these have life to them in a way that I think is hard to recapture.
And it's really weird too because it's almost like they are souped up versions of those ones from the 70s and 80s.
Oh yeah, the Kenner. Yeah.
Yeah, that it's really weird how they have they really do kind of emulate those but do their own thing at the same time. Have you heard about that this gun works pretty well with the new Black Series figure for this guy?
Oh really?
Yeah, that it doesn't look too terrible in his hands.
A lot of the Power of the Force did that. I know the Power of the Force Battle Droid and Stap. Mm-hmm. You can use because you gave me a Stap.
Yes, for that they can kind of Anakin can ride that. Yeah. But this one was my brother's too. That I just think that he's wild looking.
He looks great.
Yeah,
all unique sculpts and stuff.
Yes, and I played a lot with. I remember playing with Greedo a lot too, having him and Han fight and everything like that. And I had a bunch of Hans, which a fitting that. Here's Bespin Han.
It's funny that you didn't have many Lukes.
We missed the first wave, so this was my Luke. It was the Shadows of the Empire Luke. And so he didn't even have a lightsaber. He just had a staff because, he looks jacked. Anyway,
they all looked a little jacked. They all
did. Yeah, they were very He-Man inspired. But yeah, there you go.
That's great.
Force, yeah. I'm just going to let them sit there.
Yeah, let them sit there. Yeah. Let them hang out. Yeah. That's awesome. So figures are awesome. They're fun to play with. Sometimes you didn't want to play with the Jedi. You wanted to be a Jedi.
Yeah.
And how did you do that as a kid?
Oh, I know where this is going.
Only one way, and that's with one of these guys.
Heck yeah.
And so the next part of collecting is lightsabers. And I think that, lightsabers are huge when it comes to being a Star Wars fan. I think you can go out to any Star Wars fan and you'll find a good amount of them who like collecting figures, maybe like doing video games, like doing books, and some that don't. But I think every single Star Wars fan would be lying to you if they said they didn't want a lightsaber, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's just that thing. It's so easy. It's so Star Wars. It is boil down Star Wars into a toy. It is this. Yeah. And these old telescopics that came out, because I think the first telescopics were at the tail end of Return of the Jedi. They're very flimsy from what I understand. Right. Mm-hmm. I never had one of those, but then these were, I think these were the gold standard when it came to toy lightsabers. Oh yeah,
dude! Don't you remember going to Walmart and then they just had them all there?
Yes. And I have a story about that. I don't know if I've ever told this on the show, but when I was a kid and Revenge of the Sith just came out, I wanted one so friggin' bad, so bad. I didn't have one, and my mom finally told me, "Okay, we can go to Walmart, we can get one." Yeah, and so we went. But at the time, they were building a new Walmart in my town. They were building a the super center because those weren't widespread yet. Yeah. And we went back to the toy section and it was almost completely empty. And I was heartbroken. So I tracked down a lady myself, little kid me. Yeah. Tracked down a worker and was like, where are the lightsabers? Where's the Star Wars stuff? And they're like, oh, we already moved,
packed up.
We already moved it to the new store. But they're going to have a whole kiosk for just lightsabers is what she told me. So I was like, okay. Well, when you do that,
Yeah.
and it was like 2 weeks away, I think. And as a kid, 2 weeks away is an eternity.
Forever. Yeah.
Finally, that day comes. My mom brings me, and I was like, yeah, had the full, Revenge of the Sith.
Red fire. Yeah.
Every, like a whole aisle dedicated to it. And like the lady said, there was a little kiosk in the middle of row.
Yeah.
Of just lightsabers. I picked up this guy right here.
Yeah.
Man, the fun that I had. I think I had one of these, and I think I had Qui-Gon. I think those are the two that I had because I really wanted a green one.
Yeah.
And you could see how beat up this is.
Oh yeah.
Like
it's been through some battles.
It's been through a lot of battles. And like that, being able to actually have the blade come out, it collapse back, gosh, how nostalgic is that sound there, man?
I like too that it can hook onto your
belt.
belt.
Yeah. I mean, the toy nature of this, I hate the new ones. I can't stand the new ones.
Yeah.
They have like Ahsoka's head at the top.
Yeah.
And like a weird design. I don't get that. Like they don't want to make it look like a movie prop, which I don't understand why they think that kids wouldn't want the actual movie props. Like I saw a Soul lightsaber from the Acolyte at Target. It was his design, but it had like several different colors all over it. I'm like, I just don't understand.
Yeah.
Is this really what kids are wanting these days? Is they don't want an accurate lightsaber. They want one that has red and blue and a little bit of green and everything.
No accuracy. Yeah.
It's not even the accurate. It's not that it's not accurate that bothers me because this isn't 100% accurate. They get it close. It's just the need to oversaturate, literally oversaturate.
What I think is wild is if you hold it like this feels pretty stinking real. Like if it was the real thing,
I know.
You know what I mean? Like it is, it's weird. Like I feel like they really kind of captured the essence of this thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think that this was like the perfect era for toy lightsaber, in my opinion. I think like this was it. But then, things evolved a little bit over time. And the next one that I picked up, or that I was rather gifted, was this guy. I wish I had batteries in it because it does still work. The only thing I don't like about this one, obviously, is it doesn't go all the way in. But these were the Revenge of the Sith era. They were a little bit longer.
Yeah.
This one is battle worn right here. You can see the dents in the blade. I dueled with this one more than any of them. And this was the color changing Anakin Darth Vader lightsaber.
I think mine is floating around here somewhere.
Yeah, it's literally over there.
Yeah, there you go. Yes.
And yours is in like a lot better shape than mine.
Yeah.
The memories I have of this were when I would go to my campground. I would wait till it got to the dead of night. Because, of course, in the campground, you don't have quite all the light pollution that you have everywhere else. There's no street lights. Of course, people had camper lights and stuff. But me and my friends would go out and I remember my dad used to always tell me, he's like, you guys look like you were from the movie out there. Like, that's what he would always tell us. And I don't think he was joking. I remember him being very genuine about that. Like, you guys looked legit. Because we would go out and, I mean, just recreate the duel, the battle on Mustafar.
Yeah.
And the memories I have with these, I love this one. And I like this one more as a toy. This one I had the best times with.
Yeah.
For sure.
The waiting till it got dark. One of the first things I filmed was my friends running around with a lightsaber fight in our front yard that my brother and my friend choreographed a lightsaber fight in our front yard. And all the blades were lit up and everything. Yeah. And so like it got so dark that eventually you just could only see the blade swinging and stuff like that. But it was
that's awesome.
It's good times. That was the one that I used. I used the
color changing.
Yeah, I used because I had the blue one. Yeah.
Isn't it wild how real those looked when we were a kid, and now we have these that literally look real?
They oh my gosh, that like they look real. Yeah, it's just
so funny how that evolves.
You think it was imagination?
Oh, I'm sure that was part of it.
Yeah.
I still in my head, like I'm picturing right now the blue, because I always remember the red wasn't quite as
it was not. Yeah, but the blue looked pretty good.
You got that with no lights on.
Yeah, it looked pretty good.
Like you were Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah,
you know what
true.
I mean? I think I made this joke the last time I told that story, but a faint John Williams, you could hear it just the horn,
just hear the French horn,
just starts going. As you start. So that, gosh, those meant so much to me. And then, of course, now, relatively recently, within the last 10 years or so, I would say, these have been all the rage. And this is a little bit of an older one. I got this at a Comic-Con, and I was blown away. This is the first time I think I spent $350 on this, which is kind of a lot in hindsight, and it was a lot
at the time. Yeah.
And I was like, my wife convinced me. She's like, you got to do it. We've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know where the charger is. It had a really weird charger. I need to find it. But this thing, it looked real, and it was real,
Yeah.
not quite as fancy as the ones that are out today, but and I've lost the blade to this. It bothers me so much. I can't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
I could order a new one, but it's amazing how like the evolution of these, and now it's kind of cool to collect lightsabers because not that it wasn't cool before,
Yeah.
but because they're so real, because they feel. I mean, you feel this, and it's like, I mean, this is just.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. That's the Graflex.
This weapon is your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the three I wanted to show off. I have more. I have so much more. But the Skywalker blade, is my favorite lightsaber, and these were my three kind of definitive lightsabers when it came to my fandom and collecting over the years.
Mhm.
Like, that was my childhood. This was my adolescence. This is my adulthood. You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool how that kind of goes on. And I'd like to eventually get one of those just super accurate, like NeoPixels of the Skywalker blade.
Yeah.
One of these days. But yeah, what was your did you have a favorite lightsaber as a toy? Was it just this one?
It was always that one. Yeah, because I mean, like, who didn't want to be Anakin?
Yeah.
I still want to be Anakin. You know what I mean? That like, I mean, like, gosh, it was around when that movie came out that I finally convinced my mom to let me grow my hair out. And she's like, well, what do you want your hair to look like? And I'm that guy.
Yeah.
And then she's now says that she can't imagine me without long hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, well, you can't go back. It's just, this is who you are now. And so, and I'm like, I've always had this guy inside me, Mom, like, cause I wanted to grow my hair out for a long time, but she just wouldn't let me. I went to private school, that it wasn't, it's kind of faux pas to have long hair.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So,
all right, you're up.
We're going to keep going with, because I kind of like this theme that I'm going with like things that I share with people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do this next thing, maybe a little bit more important to me, but like, it's definitely something I've shared by myself, if that makes sense. So that is my love for the medium of comic books. Like, it's funny. I try to share it with people. Like, I got you a comic book today.
It's really cool.
That I just, when I see them, that I'm just like, I got to share that. I mean, that just reminds me of a certain person. And so I'll pick it up for them. But so here we go. This is probably the oldest Star Wars comic book I have, or one of them. So this is Boba Fett, Twin Engines of Destruction, in which here you can hold this. Like, look, you can even see where my mom left a cup on it overnight.
Yes, I do see that.
Yeah. And it just like that killed me as a kid that like, yeah, that's Boba Fett fighting against Jodo Cast. And so that was kind of the one like solo Boba Fett story that we had where it was just kind of about him and growing up. But I brought some other stuff from my youth. Another early book would be, here's Dark Empire 2. And as you can see, Boba Fett's firing away and Chewbacca's right behind him. And here is another issue of Dark Empire 2 that I just loved, with Han and Boba Fett staring at each other, and then the Falcon shooting, or the fire spray shooting the Falcon. Like, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. And so those, like, that's the oldest stuff that I have. You fast forward just a little bit further, and I brought all of Shadows of the Empire. So I just, oh my gosh, I read this so much as a kid, and I love these covers. Like, whoever did these, this is just like, this is Star Wars to me. Like, I love how like they just
Luke with this.
Yes. And I was going to say, like, look at like Leia's Bausch there and like Chewbacca. I can't remember.
I remember that design for Chewbacca always being like wild.
Yes. And I just like, dude, look at like, that is so pretty. Like, it just looks like a photograph. I feel like that is so good. I love this Luke cover. Like, I'm not a big Luke guy, but like, dude.
I'd love that cover too.
Yes. Like, that is so cool. And these red guys, I don't even know what these guys are, but I think that they are, here's like the final issue with like,
Zizor.
because Zizor and Boba Fett and Jabba and Vader. That's
a sick cover.
Yeah. This one always used to freak me out when I was a kid. Zizor scared me.
Okay.
That, I don't know why that image like freaked me out. I don't know. That's silly. But anyway.
Very cool.
Legacy. And this is actually the, so this takes place like super far in Star Wars Legends. So like, this is like Cade Skywalker and Darth Talon and Darth Krayt. And this gives the history of Darth Krayt. And this is where basically you get that Obi-Wan fought Darth Krayt when he was a Shard Het. And I just love that backstory. And I just think that this is so cool because like you're reading all these books and it's like, okay, new character, okay, good, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, Obi-Wan's on a cover. It's like, wait, I know that guy. It's like, what's the legacy of Obi-Wan? It's just such a neat book. So anyway, so that's like continued on today. And like, so like I still pick up, like I picked up a comic book for you today. Like I pick up comic books all the time for everybody. And like I've
picked up all those Thrawn alliances back there.
Yes. I don't know. It's just what I do that. Like I see something and I'm
cool.
like, oh yeah, that I should do that. But it's continued on today. And like, I grade them. Like those are too beat up to grade. Like there's no point. They're like, I just have them. That's why I've got them in just the bag and board. But like, this is the first Dr. Aphra, which is kind of cool.
That's very cool. 9.4.
9.4. It's okay. I wish it was a 9.6 or a 9.8, but that's okay. Like this is the one. This is when she wasn't special. Like I picked this up off the shelf. And I was like, well, I should probably just grade my copy because, I'm really surprised they've never done anything with this character. It is wild to me that she doesn't have a show or a Disney Plus series or even some sort of animated thing.
Yeah, she's it. Yeah.
People love her. So, but anyway, comic books, but mostly like my kind of thing that like, if that makes any kind of sense that I don't really share that.
Definitely your thing.
Yeah. I don't really share that. And it's like, I think that like, I like getting things graded because like it's just kind of like it's preserving them the best that it can be. And I like having those little pieces of history.
They look nice on a slab.
They do. I have trouble displaying them all the time and everything because they do take up a lot of room when they're in a slab.
Yeah.
I used to, when I was a kid, I had these like we would put them up on the wall and then we'd thumbtack them and they would just be basically little posters that I would take down and read or whatever.
So this is probably what solidified your fandom with Star Wars then when you were a kid.
So I was local comic book shop, moved and got bought out by another store. And I had a subscription for Spider-Man comics. With the move, I lost my subscription. And so it was kind of them that the bookstore, like basically were like, well, okay, it'll be fine. We will, what we'll do is we'll give you X amount of dollars. And so I was like, I want those. And so I picked up with my excess money. I picked up like most of Dark Empire 2. Didn't have any idea about it, but I knew I liked Star Wars, like Spider-Man and Star Wars.
Yeah.
Thomas, Ninja Turtles, Marvel Comics, Star Wars. That's probably like the lineage of like.
So did this like
big
reignite?
fandoms.
So you've seen the movies by this point. Is the comics what kind of reignited?
Well, I mean, it's what kept it going.
So kept the flame going.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Fandom,
because I mean, at this point too, that like special edition hadn't happened yet, but like they were on video and like we were all really into it. And I got more stuff that we'll talk about, because now we're going to start getting into more like things that I share with other people and stuff like that.
This is so my next thing is what solidified my fandom. Like I'd seen the movies, I was a big fan.
Yeah.
But this is what kept the flame going, to use that same language, and that is Star Wars video games. So I just brought a couple up here. So you guys can see all around you that I have a lot of figures and stuff up here, which, might be a spoiler to what my final thing might be. But I always make this distinction. I do not collect figures. They are a consequence of my photography. I always say this.
Use them for art.
I do, however, collect video games. That is my passion when it comes to collecting. I have always loved collecting video games. My interest sort of has peaks and valleys as I go throughout life. I've been in a pretty high peak for a while. And one of my collecting goals is I want every Star Wars game on every console. And so I moved from, I finished the original Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. I have a couple left for PSP, and I'm working on PSP, PS1, PS2 right now. So I'm kind of going console through console. But when I was a kid, and for some unknown reason, I did not bring it up here, but The Force Unleashed is kind of what like showed me that there's more to Star Wars than just the movies.
Yeah.
When it came to story.
Yeah.
Because before that, I played Battlefront 2. I played a lot of the other games, but Force Unleashed was really the game that was like, oh, there's more to this. And it made me want every game that came after that. But what started everything, what started not only my love for Star Wars video games, but video games in general, and I've talked about it before, it's this right here.
Yeah.
This is not that valuable of a game in box. CIB for those, who know, complete in box. But I have it in a case and it sits at the pinnacle of my collection because this is probably the most important piece of like Star Wars history for me when it comes to my fandom.
Yeah.
Not only my fandom, but really a foundational point in my life was this was an extremely, extremely special moment. I can remember it very clearly. It's my 9th birthday. My mom worked very, very late every day, and I wasn't expecting anything for my birthday because times were hard at that time, and I didn't have any of my own video game consoles. And I've shared this very sad story before, but I remember when this game got announced. I remember seeing the poster, and I was sitting at a lunch table with all my friends who all had PS2s. We're all very excited about it, and they all were like, "Oh, who are you excited to play as? I can't wait to play as General Grievous. I can't wait to play as this character. I can't wait to play as this character." And I remember saying, like, I can't wait. I forget who I said. I can't wait to play as Anakin, whoever I said. And they all stopped and looked at me and they're like, what do you mean you're excited to play as that character? You don't have a PS2. You can't play the game. It broke my heart. Like, just absolutely destroyed me because I was like, I'm not going to be able to be a part of this. And this is the first Lego game, you know?
Yeah.
That's actually not true. There were some Lego games on the PS1, but like this created this formula.
Yeah.
And my sister had a Game Boy Advance SP, and I had a Game Boy Color that I had bought secondhand. And I remember it so clearly I remember sitting on the couch. It was getting really late. It was like 9 p.m. It was on my birthday. And my mom came home, and I was just excited that she was home. I was going to be able to see her for a few minutes before we all went to bed. She walked in the door. I was like, hey, let's go. We went. I was like, I thought maybe we were going to go get maybe like a Happy Meal or something like that, you know. No, we get to Walmart. We go down the video game aisle, and I remember looking at, and I'm still like, even though I'm there and I know, like, in hindsight, it's like, how did I not know what my mom was doing? She got me a blue Game Boy Advance SP and this game right here because that's all I talked about.
Yeah.
Couldn't wait because I was just hoping maybe I could go to a friend's house
and play this thing. Yeah.
And I played it all night long. And I remember so clearly. I was so giddy. I got home. I was sitting on the couch. I'm playing this game, and my sister gets home, and she's out talking to her boyfriend out under the streetlight. And I ran out there. I was like, you gotta see, you gotta see this game I got. I was so excited. They could care less, kids, they're teenagers and they could care less. But that's all I wanted to do is tell people about it. Like, I'd hide it under my pillow so my mom couldn't see, and I could play it all night.
But she knew.
Yeah. But then I got to talk about it with my friends.
Yeah.
Like
this is who I like to play as.
Yeah. Like I got to go to school and I got to be like, this is my favorite level. Now, of course, they were all playing on PS2.
Yeah. So it was probably a little different.
It was different.
Yeah.
I remember I did get to go to my friend's house and play it. And I thought this is unreal. Like playing this on a PS2.
Yeah.
But this game is very special to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like this on the Game Boy Advance specifically. Unfortunately, this is not my original copy. I do have my original SP from when I was a kid. But this is not my original copy. I purchased this a few years ago. But I remember when my SP was broken for many years and I fixed it probably around 8 years ago. And I went out and bought a copy of Lego Star Wars, put it in there to test it. And I sent a picture to my mom. And I think she was like, oh, that's cool. I don't think she knew because realized what an impact that had on me as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But ever since then, I've loved collecting these things. I've loved collecting Star Wars video games. And right now I have a few just to share, just to show off. So this one is cool. This is a newer acquisition that I just got last weekend, actually. I'd never heard of this before. So I said I'd finished my Game Boy collection and my Game Boy Advance and Color collection. Stuck in here. Well, I went to a very charming local game store when we were in Columbus, Ohio, this last weekend. And I was talking to the guy, very nice owner. And I was saying how when I go to game stores, it's tough because my collection is so I'm very narrow focused. There's very little things I don't have these days.
Yeah.
So typically when I go to a new store, they usually don't have what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But I love looking anyway. And he was like, well, what are you collecting? Maybe I can help you out. And I was telling him, he's like, well, I just got in today this massive Game Boy collection. You want to see it? I was like, of course I'll look through it. But I had all the Game Boy games.
Yeah.
I spotted this and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah. I've never even seen that before.
I hadn't either.
Yeah.
And I asked him about it. I'm like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
It's not fake. It has a little.
That's what I kind of wondered about it. Yeah.
Well, it would be very odd if this was a game to bootleg because these games are super cheap. But I mean, I've seen crazier things. But no, it's a real cartridge.
Yeah.
And he looked it up, and evidently the first printing of this game on Game Boy, the Star Wars: A New Hope, if you can't see, this is called the Red Label. and it was just the first printing of the game. They used this label, and I had never heard of it before.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well,
Gotta get it.
gotta get that then. You
Yeah.
know, so I picked that up. That was a pretty cool experience from that guy. Something legitimately I'd never seen.
Yeah.
And I never heard of. And I consider myself pretty knowledgeable.
Yeah.
On Star Wars games. So another one to show off. This one is just something silly, something I picked up. I played this as a kid. This was on PSP.
Yeah.
And on DS. Lethal Alliance. You play as this like Twilight bounty hunter. And she's like working with Kyle Katarn. And it's kind of a parallel story to Dark Forces, if I understand right.
Okay.
I don't remember the story that well. I just remember thinking it was something new and something really fun as a kid, and I played it. I have it on both PSP and DS now, which is really cool. Just kind of a hard game to find and one you don't see that often.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know much about that at all.
Got the manual. It's complete in box. I always keep my receipts now too, because I like to see how much I paid for them years down the road if they ever skyrocket.
Yeah.
This one probably won't. I paid $8 for it. This one is another one I got this last weekend at I went to a game convention, video game convention. I recently found out, and I'm hopefully when you're watching this, I've already made a video about it. I recorded one, a short, so I won't bore you too much. But I didn't know that this game was also on the Nintendo DS. It's one of my favorite games for the Game Boy Advance, which is sitting there because they used to have little slots.
Oh, a double side, yeah.
Yeah. So one of my favorite games from when I was a kid was this Episode 3 game. I had no idea that it was on DS. The reason why that's important is because it's virtually the same game, except for it has more missions and it has these Starfighter missions.
Yeah.
And it's like finding out it's like getting DLC for one of your favorite games 20 years later.
Okay, so now you got to play it.
Yeah. So I've been playing through it and it's been pretty fun. It's still, gosh, this game holds up.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I played a lot of it on the Xbox.
Dude, the PS2 and Xbox version are really good. I hope that we can play that on Retro Arcade here soon. But the reason why I really like this version of it is because it was built specifically for the handheld. And so the reason why that's important is like, for example, this was built more for the PSP and then they ported a version of it to the Nintendo DS.
Yeah.
And so porting,
there's holes.
Yeah. Like the Force Unleashed game on DS is fine.
Yeah.
Right. But it's just you're porting a console experience onto here.
Yeah.
They did not try to emulate the console experience of the PS2.
It's its own game.
It's a pixel art scrolling beat 'em up, and the pixel art is so smooth. It looks gorgeous even today.
Yeah.
It's so good. And it's a bit of a follow-up to there's another game on Game Boy Advance called the Star Wars Trilogy, Apprentice of the Force.
Yeah.
It's all three of the original movies. And the pixel art's not quite as sharp. It's not quite as good, but made by Ubisoft as well. This was a Ubisoft game. So it's definitely a precursor to this. But I think this is like...
Check out that Anakin on the back. That's kind of wild.
Yeah, it's a screenshot from the PS2 game, actually. Yeah. But one of my favorites. And then the final one, just to kind of show like sort of my path. So those are like childhood games going into like adult games. This is Knights of the Old Republic for the Nintendo Switch. It's sealed. It is a limited run game. It's not one of limited run's more sought after ones necessarily, but I do love limited run. If you don't know who that is, they do physical releases for games that are typically digital only. So you could get this, of course, back on the original Xbox on PC, but there's now the Switch version, and so they did a physical cartridge, and I'm physical media all the way.
Yeah.
So I don't even buy games nowadays. Like I really want to play Black Myth Wukong, for example. Doesn't have a physical yet. So
there's no need.
Yeah. So I like to own them physically because, like we said earlier, they could pull the plug at some point, and you could never have access to that game again. Whereas now, I always have access to this game.
Yeah.
I have literally every console. I'm very proud of that. I was able to complete that maybe last year, except for the Virtual Boy. I don't have the Virtual Boy. But so any game that I buy, I can play, which is really cool.
Heck.
So now I'm always on the hunt for, like, I collect Zelda, I collect Pokemon, but also Star Wars. Which finished my Pokemon collection, by the way.
You did it.
I did.
Yeah.
I was able to collect most of those before the pandemic, which is huge because after the pandemic,
skyrocketed.
I mean, it's insane how expensive those games are now. But yeah, so limited run games are really fun. I'd like to get KOTOR 2 physical. I have the Heritage Collection on Switch. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's a multi-pack game, but it is on a physical cartridge. But the only game that's not physically on that cartridge is KOTOR 2.
Oh.
You have to download it.
Yeah.
So once you pop the cartridge in, it's like it acts as a game
free,
code. You can download it, but because of that, it's not physically on a cartridge. But Limited Run has done that as well. So yeah, so Star Wars video games, that's been something I've kept up with since I was a kid. There's many that I missed. Like I missed the Jedi Knight games. I love to play them, Dark Forces. While I was at that video game, I picked these two up for our retro arcade, the Masters of Terras Kasi,
Yeah.
Star Wars Mortal Kombat.
I'm excited.
I'm excited to try this out.
Yes.
I'm really excited. And then also Super Bombad Racing.
Yeah, because I knew about that and you didn't have a clue what it was.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I got this for $5.
Yeah. Look at
$5.
that. Manual and all.
Well, the manual, this is funny. Did not have the manual, but there were several booths at that convention selling manuals. And I remembered seeing this manual in one of those guys' booths. So I bought this, paid $5 for it, ran over to that booth. I was like, give you $2 for it. He's like, deal. So I got the whole thing for $7.
There you go.
But I'm so excited for this. I have to know if there was a Burger King tie into this, because these look exactly like those Burger King toys.
It looks kind of like Diddy Kong Racing, where it's just like it's not Mario Kart. It's trying darn hard to be Mario Kart, though.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. I think that what I'd like to do.
Who all can we be? I see the racers on the back.
Yeah, some of them are here on the back. I don't know if this is all of them, but Yoda, Darth Maul, Sebulba, Anakin, Queen Amidala, Obi-Wan, Boss Nass, and Jar Jar Binks.
Dang.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I think what I want to do is I want to play through Lego Star Wars on stream. Yeah. Maybe we can start the streams by trying out some of these new games.
A little Bombad Racing, yeah.
Because I've been collecting them to play.
Yeah.
So I picked these. I picked a few more up, but yeah, a lot of them to try. There's one I regret not getting it. But it was just a little too overpriced. It's called Star Wars Demolition.
Dude, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, it's like a
Have you heard
Twisted
that?
Metal.
Yeah. It's like Star Wars Twisted Metal.
Yeah.
I saw that. I only saw 2 copies while I was there, and one of them was at a crack case.
Yeah.
Which, again, physical. I guess I could have still bought it and swapped the case out. The other one is just a little too overpriced for what I would want to pay for something like that.
Yeah.
So I'll be on the hunt for Star Wars Demolition, because I think
that one was wild, because I remember that like Boba Fett's on the cover of that one, when it's like, this game's about like vehicles crashing against each other, but like, I guess he's his own kind of vehicle, I guess. Yeah. Which is crazy.
There you go. Star Wars video games, huge part of my fandom. Today, it is a massive part. That's what I collect. I love that. I love how it intertwines with Star Wars. I love how that's a medium for Star Wars storytelling. Jedi Survivor is awesome. The new Battlefront game has an awesome campaign. So the future is bright for Star Wars video games, I think. Wasn't a fan of how Outlaws turned out, but otherwise, I think a lot of the new games we've been getting are pretty good. So really looking forward to Jedi 3.
Yeah.
So what do you got? What's next?
Well, I mean, we got to continue on
your journey.
On my journey. And that's when I found, like, I've brought these guys on the show before. Check out our Christmas episode. That of wargaming and trading cards and stuff like that. So here we'll talk about half of it, but like, this is where, like, again, it's funny because like I'm incorporating my love for like small things. Is like, I found out about this, like,
that Grievous is rad.
Yeah. I brought just kind of the ornate crazy ones.
Now, did somebody paint these, or did they come painted?
No, they came painted.
Okay. So these came painted. That's got a pretty good paint job on it.
Yeah, I know. And like, check out some of the detail. Like, check out this new gun ray.
You're like Grievous. Gosh, that's cool.
Check out this new gun ray and how like detailed he is. I brought a bunch of prequel stuff. So this is actually like a collection that I bought recently from a guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That like, he was like, Seth, I want to let it go, but at the same time, like, I know you care about this stuff. And so I, like, kind of like what I said earlier, that I like to kind of like keep it safe. And so like, this is keep it secret, keep it safe. So this is mostly stuff from his collection that he had, like all the prequel stuff. Like, so yeah, here's Wat Tambor. Like, look at how cool this is. And like, look behind his back.
Oh, hiding a little blaster.
Yeah, he's got a little blaster. Like, how fun is that? And like, yeah. So, but I think that like my love for small things, and then like, again, like amazing memories with, Nate, Spencer, Taylor, and Les, and Rich, and Scott. I'm trying super hard to remember everybody that I played this game with. Caleb and Matt and other Matt. And it's just, yeah, I mean, I said it last time where it's like, here, because of these little plastic guys, I'm in people's weddings.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Here, I can show you. Here's the Emperor Mace Windu battling it out. That Emperor was cool because he, so the very first Palpatine, what?
And these are, I would have went nuts for these. As
Oh,
a kid.
dude,
These are
they are
awesome.
so cool, and I think they hold up. Like I think they look so good compared to stuff today.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what we were talking about with this, like how there's just something about like that era, and like now you can get like miniatures that like you got to paint yourself and stuff like that, and yeah, they're more detailed, but there's just something about like I love how the sabers are clear. I love how like yeah, it's just like look at how detailed Mace Windu is. Like that's crazy. Like that looks like a little Samuel Jackson.
He's about to tell you to take a seat.
He
like,
is.
That's what.
And this like so what I was saying about this Palpatine, like it's wild because like so all the clones had an Order 66 tag on them. He could literally not be targeted by characters with the Order 66 tag. And then also he had an ability called Betrayal, where if you rolled a 1 against him, you were automatically on his team. Yeah. And so he was one of my favorites to play back in the day. But I brought, you know, because of our Bad Batch talk, I brought Gree, I brought Cody, and I brought Bakara.
Very cool.
So yeah.
Love those.
So kind of cool. And last one I'll show, I brought R2. He's flying.
Love it.
Yeah, and he had tow cable. He could drag people around. So good.
Awesome.
So good. Yeah. So, but yes, so this is the cool thing is that like, this is what kind of like showed or helped show me that like, hey, there's more. It doesn't have to be like your own fandom. You can share the fandom with people.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That was your introduction to the gaming, the tabletop gaming.
Yeah, like gaming. Well, it goes half and half, but yes, but like these were like my like this also.
I'm using that very broadly. Like I'm putting cards in there as well.
Yeah, because we'll talk about cards. But also just the fact that like these were friends. Like I made friends where this pulled us together.
Yeah.
The gaming, the Star Wars, like it's like, and I still talk to these guys. I still play games with these guys. Maybe not this game, but yeah.
No, it's cool.
Again, friendships are made over little plastic men. Yeah.
Indeed. Which that's what I'm going to get into. My final thing, and nothing more has shaped me as a fan than my love for action figures.
Yeah.
And the reason I saved this for last is because
you don't collect them.
My relationship with them has changed drastically, but somehow still they are the center of my fandom.
Yeah.
I think that is so interesting. I don't know really what to take from that. But I have right here this chest.
Yeah.
I loved chests as a kid.
Yeah.
I was really into that. And so I remember one Christmas I was gifted this by my mama. And the reason why this in particular is significant, this is filled with a bunch of 3 3/4 figures. I'll pull out a couple in a second. But when we moved, my wife and I, to the town we're in now, we had a ton of stuff that I had lost so much from my childhood anyway, but things were in boxes put in storage rooms. We moved into a 360 square foot apartment. There was not much room for anything. This was the only thing from my childhood that I brought was this chest. It has never left my side.
Yeah.
Is this chest right here. Even as a kid, I would buy and sell. I used to wheel and deal like nothing else, but somehow I never got rid of my Star Wars figures. And they were so important to me for so many reasons. I have so many memories. Like you talk about how the tabletop games have brought you together with people. These really brought me together with a lot of my family. I feel like I have memories of my mama where she would take me to, because in our town, it was a small town. We didn't really have much places you could go buy stuff like this. There's a town about 30 minutes away. And I would often call and be like, hey, what are you doing today, Mama? And she'd say, oh, I'm not doing much of anything. What are you doing? Like, well, do you want to go to this town and we could go and we can go shopping?
You buy me an action figure.
I'll pick you up here in about 20 minutes. That's all, something like that is always what she'd say. And we'd go out on our just her and I all the time. Or I'd be with my dad and my dad would take me out and we'd pick one up. Like I remember very clearly getting a Mace Windu figure one time. I don't have that one for some reason. It's one of the only figures I don't still have. I have no idea what happened to it. I have the lightsaber in here. Don't know what happened to the figure. And then one of my favorite stories, and I will pull this one out, but it's this guy right here, C-3PO. And for some reason, this was hard to find when I was a kid. And so my mom would kind of get involved with the toy hunts.
Oh, yeah.
And so she would often go look like right after she got off work to go see if they had this.
Mhm.
Did they stock today? You know, we knew even at Walmart stocked on Thursdays because we would ask, and that's when we'd go. We'd go see if they had C3PO. And I remember one time we did go, and they had a full kiosk of brand new figures.
Yeah.
And we looked, and sure enough, behind one of the pegs was this guy. I
Mm.
don't know why I wanted C3PO so bad,
Mhm.
but they had it. And
Yeah.
my mom was almost more excited than I was.
Yeah.
And of course, checked out, paid for it, and gosh, it was so much fun. And,
Mhm.
and I that is one of my favorite memories of collecting as a kid. And like I have like the original Clone Wars. I think this is actually kind of a valuable figure on card.
Yeah.
The original Captain Rex from the movie. And I remember my mama picking this up for me because my mama took me to go see that movie. I'm sure she was bored out of her mind watching that movie in theaters. But she took me and she sat right next to me while we watched it. Like Ram Koda from The Force Unleashed. Like, and I have
Or his lightsaber on his back.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like this Yoda figure was one of my most played with figures. You know, like I had Bail Organa. This Palpatine is one of my all-time favorite figures. And like Kiadi Mundi. I had this Power of the Force old Ben, and this was cool because it's the only old Ben that I had, and I found this at a flea market. This Darth Maul came with a 3-pack with Darth Maul, Sidious, and Count Dooku. I got it for Christmas one year, and it was so exciting because I didn't have a Darth Maul figure. I had the other two in various ways.
Yeah.
I didn't have a Darth Maul. So that was the first time I was able to get a Darth Maul. And like Stormtroopers, where, you know, you can take their helmets off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Who is that hiding under there? Or is it just a rando?
Just a rando.
Really?
Yeah, just a random Stormtrooper. Darth Vader from Return of the Jedi, where you could remove his helmet.
Yeah.
You know, I've talked about this before. This was the figure that got me into Star Wars. One of the final nails. You know, this is from the Saga collection.
Yeah.
Clone Wars Anakin.
Clone Wars Anakin.
This Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan. He came with a baby. Baby Luke.
Baby Luke.
Which is such a wild accessory for a figure. Let's see, like Count Dooku, which I still think this is one of the better face sculpts from this era. He's missing a finger.
Yeah.
Like, look,
he's
check
quite
out
ornate.
Yeah, check that out. Like this guy right here.
It does look like him.
Look, the LED still works. Look at this. Missing a hand. Don't know where the hand's at. It's in here somewhere. Maris Brood from The Force Unleashed.
There you go. Yeah.
This Shadow Trooper, man, I used to make up so much lore for this guy.
Yeah.
Like he was secretly a Jedi that became a clone trooper. I could go on and on. Like I
like this Dooku's fingers.
Oh, wait.
How they're all like shooting lightning clearly.
I know. Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
One more.
Ooh.
This battle damaged Darth Vader.
That also from The Force Unleashed?
Also from The Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
For some reason, I never got a Star Killer. I don't know why. Maybe I just never saw one.
Yeah.
But these were my childhood. I invented so many stories. These meant so much to me. And it even into my adulthood, even after I got married, every time we go get groceries, I never bought anything, but I'd go look. I'd stroll down the
peruse.
Yeah. Just see.
Yeah.
And I remember the turning point was there was the Last Jedi figures. They did a line. And it wasn't just Last Jedi characters. It was a bunch of characters and an old Ben. And I knew I had an old Power of the Force old Ben. I didn't really have one because I was at the time, I had these little shelves. They were like this big and I was going to have one for each movie.
Yeah.
And like, I need one for A New Hope and I need a good old Ben because I was going to have him dueling Darth Vader. So I was going to have a lightsaber duel from each movie. And so I picked up this little old Ben from that 5 POA collection. And I also picked up an old man Luke because I thought he looked so cool in his Jedi robes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what started the ball rolling with toy photography. And I truly think that this probably changed the course of my life. I saw now about almost 5 years ago now, I saw a photo on Reddit. It was of Boba Fett. And he was in the desert surrounded by smoke, like carrying his rifle.
Yeah.
And it was from a photographer shooting the galaxy. His name's Matt. And I saw this photo, I was blown away. So I just thought it was a cool photo. But then I see in the comments, this is a toy. I was like, what? This is a toy? Blew my mind.
Yeah.
And so I went on this guy's Instagram page and I'm like it really blew my mind. And again, this was about 5 years ago and I could not believe this. And I was already involved in filmmaking at the time and I was a pretty good compositor. That's what I think is really my specialty when it comes to editing is compositing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I bet I could do this. I
Yeah.
really thought like, I think I could do this. And so I took, if I can find it, I'll flash it up on screen. I took a photo of Luke and Darth Vader. It was really artsy. It was like, it's not a very good photo.
Yeah.
But I took it and like, I was on a high. Like, this is, I think I'm like,
Look, I
can do
did it. I nailed it. Yeah.
The Dunning-Kruger effect was on high, which I don't know if you guys know what that means. Basically means like the rate at which you think you're an expert versus your experience goes up very fast, and then it kind of crashes. And I was on that high. I was like, dude, I know what I'm doing. I could easily do. I'm going to make an Instagram account. I'm going to get popular at this. So I was like, I'm going to make 30 photos. And after I get the 30 photos, I'm going to have a full month ready to go. I'm going to post every day. And I did that. I went and I just with the figures I had, these that I had laying around. I was doing like Power Rangers, like all this stuff. And then then the pandemic hit. This was just before the pandemic. Then the pandemic hit. And then I really had nothing else to do but take pictures.
Yeah.
And I found a local toy store. And because I found that local toy store, I met you. Because I met you, I'm now doing this show. And because I did toy photography, I have met so many people that I never would have met before. And also like the toy photography aspect of this, like I said, I don't collect. Now I mostly do the Black Series and I do hot toys like you see around me.
Yeah.
It has enabled the toy photography community is the most welcoming artistic community I have ever been in, I've ever seen. Being in filmmaking and other aspects of art, they're so critical. It feels like a competition, all this stuff. It was the first time I felt like this is a community of people that I can talk to. That guy that I mentioned shooting the galaxy.
Yeah.
He talked to me day one, and he was a big guy. He is now the official photographer for Hasbro. Actually, he wasn't at the time. He now is the guy who does all of Hasbro's toy photography pictures. And nobody was off limits. And to this day, nobody's off limits. The big guys like Aya Vuatu, visual approach photography, and like plastic action. Gosh, I'm forgetting so many that are out there that do like really big stuff. You know, like they're working with like ESPN and like these big name companies. All of them will talk to you. And that was my experience. Everybody talked to me. I was able to connect with these people and make my art. And then I found that local toy store and I've been collecting them mostly just to take pictures. And I've over time, I think that I'm all right at it now.
All right. Whatever, man.
Not so much at the time. I was not so good at it at the beginning.
Yeah.
But my second photo I ever posted, the Star Wars Time Show shared it. And it made me feel like my art was valid because as a filmmaker, I had not had much success. I'd put so much and what I thought was really good stuff. And to this day, I still think I have some pretty good films that I've made.
Yeah.
That never went anywhere. And I started to get really discouraged as an artist. Like, am I even good at this? I don't know. Maybe I should just put it all down. But my second photo, the Star Wars Time Show shared it. And I think the only reason they did is because I was just copying hashtags from other people. Yeah. I think I copied theirs and they shared it. And I'm like, this feature page liked my photo enough to share it, you know? And like that blew my mind. It was the fuel that has kept me going even to this day. Is I don't do much toy photography anymore. It's kind of evolved into this.
Yeah.
But without that, none of this would ever happen. And it's because of these little plastic guys, you know, and I collect a lot of these hot toys behind me. And my favorite is probably this Captain Rex.
Yeah.
That was always one that I really wanted. Because before there was only the sideshow and he was very expensive. And then they announced the hot toys and I was like, now's my chance.
I gotta get it. Yeah.
But I collect these. I have a couple of them right here. I do customs now. I really enjoy doing customs when it comes to Black Series. This is one I made completely on my own. I 3D printed the helmet and the pauldron. This is Hauser. I painted the entire figure myself. I actually think this looks pretty good. I'm pretty proud of it. I'm not the greatest customizer, but this is one I did entirely myself. But another aspect of this is I get to collect and support other artists. So I have a lot of everything down here except for Ahsoka and Yoda, I think, all have custom heads. So this one is by a guy named Fat Clone, and I'll put up one of my pictures of this so you can see how excellent his work is. My goodness, the guy has immense talent. I mean, it turns these into mini hot toys.
Yeah,
that's another fun thing is being able to connect with these artists, support them, and it's like this whole other world, you know, where you have sculptors and painters and photographers who are extremely talented. But I think at the end of all this, to kind of wrap it all into like why this has affected my fandom is not only because it's evolved into this, but even more so than the movies nowadays and more so than the shows. being the thing that gets me most connected with Star Wars and gets me most connected with the community is creating something for the community.
Gotcha.
Whether that's photography, being able to create a piece of art, be able to stage my own little corner of that galaxy far, far away, and show maybe a what if scenario, just showcase a character the way I see them in my head,
Mhm.
And hopefully the whoever sees that photo can get the same feeling I get when I see that character, right? That's the goal. Or get the piece of storytelling I'm trying to tell.
Mhm.
Like there's one I did of Thrawn that I'm really proud of, where it's Ezra pointing his lightsaber at Thrawn after they've arrived on Peridia.
Yeah.
And maybe they have to work together, like something, it's the start of a story. Maybe you see that picture and you're like, oh man, what if they did work together for a little bit before something happened, and he had to go off with the little creatures on Peridia,
Yeah.
maybe there's something there, and maybe my art can inspire your thought in that. And then of course, creating the show, it's how I get to connect now to the community, all because of these little plastic guys. And it goes all the way back from when I was a kid. And it's like I said, it's so different now. Like when I was a kid, I guess, you know what? It's not different. As a kid, I would create my own stories. I would just create them on the carpet in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And now I create them in a different way.
Yeah.
So maybe it is the same.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know that was very long-winded.
It's okay. With trading cards. And I brought some fun ones. So these are actually, so now I play Star Wars Unlimited, but like I brought the Star Wars TCG cards. Okay. And check these out, because like I'm sure you've seen these before. Like this is a promo Jango Fett. I just think it looks cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But check this out. I don't know if you've ever seen anything like this. Who dat?
Ooh, yeah. I actually am familiar with this.
Is that not cool?
Like they had that actress.
They had that actress. Like how cool is that? And I love that they just composited her on top of the Emperor or whatever in that shot. But I'm like, she could have been there.
Yeah.
Like that's so cool to me that I love that. And so I talked at the top about getting cards graded, and I'm gonna get this one graded next, actually, just because that meant a lot to me. I remember
I've never seen this one.
And the whole thing too is what's cool about it is that was the first Darth Vader that came out with the Revenge of the Sith set. And what's weird is like we knew nothing, right, about this movie because this came out before the movie. Grievous wasn't even in the set. The set's called Revenge of the Sith. He wasn't even in it. But like the Darth Vader pre-armor. And I thought that was just the coolest thing in the world. Cool. Yes. That I was like, and my friend pulled that and I was like, I have to have that. Like, and traded for it immediately. And yeah, just a good memory. And I think this is going to be the next one I'm going to get graded. It probably won't come back something great, but like, I think
nice to have it on a slab.
Just because it's a memory. And that's why, the One Ring is a memory. But I tried to think back, and I think this is my first Star Wars card. It may be, if it's not my first, it's my second.
Okay.
Okay. And this came from my friend Clay. Like, it's so weird. Check this out. It's just this. And look at the top loader. It's like yellowed because it's so old.
Yeah.
Yeah. That like it is. Yeah. And like, so. Yeah. That like IGD8. And I remember he gave me that one. He gave me a Bosk. And the Bosk freaked me out. Like, it was kind of scary looking. But I was like, ooh, I like IGD8. But like, again, just that, like, that nice hollow foil. 96. So like, yeah, I was pretty young still. And yeah, maybe 95 because the artist signature is 95 on here. So I don't know either way, but like, I think this is like,
that's a start.
I think this is the start, is that I remember because that night I remember he was opening packs of it and he got a Han where he's like yelling like the when he blows up Darth Vader, and he was like, that was the one but he was like, I don't care about these guys. And I'm like, but I care about these guys. And so, yeah, I took the IGD8 one, and
it's very cool.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that this is like the start of all of it. So
and that's evolved into, talk about meeting new people and doing new things. A lot of your Star Wars fandom now is cards
and playing games and stuff like that, and judging and in which I like to, it's really just hanging out. They're just a vehicle to hang out with people.
That's what I was about to say. I think that's what's unique about you and collecting that I've always noticed about you is that like, you don't like stuff just for stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
stuff freaks me out. Like getting getting owned by your stuff or being under all your stuff. If I don't touch it for more than a year, I really start thinking, how much do you need this in your life then? Yep. Because I'm just like, this can help fund the next thing. Like a lot of, like I don't really, even like with the cards, like you'll see me at the cons and stuff like that, but I don't go crazy with it because it's like, I don't need it. That's that it's like, well, we need stuff. It's for the show and things like that. Yeah. Cause that's more important to me that like, rather than just like, that's cool. That'll look awesome on my shelf. Yeah. But like,
that's how I am too. For my games, I was very curated. That's the only thing that I go like
kind of ham on.
I keep like, even if I haven't played a game for a long time, I'll keep it, or if I've never played it. But like figures, I'm the same way. I look at the shelf and I'm like, I've not touched that in a really long time.
Yeah.
Gotta go. It's out of here. There's some things that I like that Spider-Man shelf. I don't photograph Spider-Man that often, but I like having all the villains.
Yeah.
For if the idea ever strikes to do like a Sinister Six photo or something. But I mean, I have many Hot Toys. I've rotated Hot Toys out of here. I've rotated like, it's funny. The local toy store guy, there's a Jedi Knight Luke Black series that was a pretty valuable figure. And I was very excited. He finally got one in and I bought it. And then like a few months later, they announced the SH Figure Arts one from The Mandalorian. I bought that. I got rid of that other one. He's like, I can't believe you're getting rid of this. Like, you were so excited about it. It's worth so much money. I'm like, I don't this one's better. Like, I don't need it. Yeah. Exactly. I'm the same way.
Yeah. And so yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, but yes, that I kind of chase that, like, that experience. I like hanging out with people. And like, again, like, it was cool that like, we've talked about it before, but like Star Wars Unlimited, I met Mark Thompson. I got to play a game with Mark Thompson.
Yeah.
Cause we both like Star Wars Unlimited.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of wild.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool how all this stuff does bring you together in a lot of ways.
Not so different.
Yeah.
Are we? Yeah. And it's neat that everybody's got their own little corner of the galaxy.
Well, speaking of the fandom sort of coming together, especially when it comes to collecting, I think it's about time we hear from the fandom and we hear from the homies at home.
Woo!
You must feel the force around you.
All right, guys, this week on the fan segment, we do have an artist submission. Thank you guys so much for submitting these. By the way, these have been so much fun to cover. If you want to get involved in the artist spotlight, send us a DM on Instagram or email us at beyondthedunesea@gmail.com. It doesn't even need to really be art. It could be something you're working on. It could be something you think is cool. We just want to get involved and let you guys, share a little bit more other than just the fan questions.
Give you a voice.
Yes.
Let us see what you're working on.
Yeah.
We want to see what you're working on.
Even if it's a work in progress, just if you have something to share and you want to share it, send it over and we will add it to the queue.
Be music, be artwork, be, painting, drawing.
Yes.
Kickstarter, something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yes. So send that over if you've got something we think. Thank you guys so much for sharing stuff already. We've been having a lot of fun with these. And this week, Artist Spotlight comes from Graham at Groge511. And this is really neat. So if you see it here up on screen, you have what looks vaguely like perhaps a wooden lightsaber.
Vaguely. I knew exactly what it was, like looking right at it.
I really
love... made of, what kind of wood is that, Grayson? What kind of wood is this? What is the name of it? I'm sorry.
He said from a Rocher tree. He recently told me that he was incorrect on that episode.
Doesn't matter. I wonder if this is made from a Rocher tree.
Could be.
Yes.
But I really love his accompaniment here with this. He says, I carved this a while back with a whittling knife while on a woodland experience. Never carved anything before, but as soon as the leader handed me a stick and a knife, I knew what I had to do. And a question for me, is this more fitting for a Wookiee or does it belong in F with Gungees with a laughing emoji?
Dang.
Does not belong in F. It's quite nice. I actually think it looks like Sabine's.
A little bit. I was wondering if he was going to carve out so that it has a T emitter or whatever, like a two-pitched fork. Yeah.
And also a question to everybody: should I paint it? My opinion, what you should do with it?
I'd seal it.
I'd seal it. I would maybe sand it down a little bit just so it can accept some sealer, or even with a finer knife to keep the whittling aspect to it alive. But yeah, seal it with some good stain or a linseed oil or something.
Yeah.
And if you really want to paint, I think accents would look nice.
Yeah.
But
maybe just the button.
Yeah. But in my opinion, don't go crazy. Like maybe like a stripe, maybe put like a
gotta be careful with stripes.
Oh yeah. Grace don't like stripes.
Yeah.
Maybe I was thinking to emulate like a ring or something around it, or painting the button. I'd try to keep the wood aspect intact. It'd be really cool if you could put a D-ring on the bottom of it too.
That would be cool.
But
no, I think it's slick. I think that's crazy that you found a stick and you just decided to make a lightsaber out of it.
I think it's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I used to love whittling as a kid. Brought back a memory for that.
Could whittle a little. Did you ever watch Courage the Cowardly Dog?
It's been a while.
Do you remember the episode with Randy the robot?
No, I didn't like the show very much.
Do you remember that though?
No.
There's an episode where he speaks like he's Christopher Walken, which that's why I thought maybe you might remember him. But his species makes him go conquer Earth. Okay. But all he wants to do is whittle tiny reindeer. That's all he doesn't. I don't want to conquer worlds. Just want to make reindeer. Anyway, I don't know. I love that episode.
Have to check it out, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. Is he loses a dance off to Courage, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm terrible," and they're like, "Oh, but you got to be good at something." He's like, "Oh, I guess I can whittle a little," and then like he pulls out the little reindeer.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for submitting that. That's a lot of fun. That's the kind of stuff I love. It's just things that's like, how many people whittle lightsabers? You know what I mean?
I was going to say, well, it's just like, again, like hands me the knife, hands me the wood. I knew exactly what I had to do. That I'm like, that's what I want to hear. That's good.
Super fun. Thanks for sharing. All right, on to the fan questions. Every week I put a prompt up on Instagram asking you guys the topic of the week. And this time I pointed it a little bit more as a question for you guys rather than a question for us. I asked you guys, when you think Star Wars collecting, what comes to mind? So we're just going to start reading some of these from Crusp, Hasbro Black Series figs, and Funkos. I love collecting them. Never got into Funkos. I have a couple, but I never got into those. You collect? You're not a big collector, but you're
my wife got real into Funkos, and then that was kind of like the gift for a while. You know, I mean, I don't know what to get you, but I got you a Funko. But I have a couple Funkos that have like survived the purge.
Gotcha.
I have Rick and the Mummy from The Mummy. We have a Balrog. Okay. We have Sam from Trick or Treat. I have a couple wrestling guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got, Funkos came out around the time that I learned that you could order things offline.
Yeah.
When I was in high school. And I don't know if they just came out. Maybe they had been around before, but I ordered Altair and Honor from Assassin's Creed. I still have those.
Mm-hmm.
I also have, there's a couple of them up there. I have Joker, Harley, and Batman. And then I have Last Jedi Luke. It's somewhere around here.
Okay.
Alan DCG. Hello, guys.
Hello there.
What is your definition of a Star Wars collectible? What is the weirdest one you know? First of all, Alan. He's been away for a little while. He showed up in our live chat last week. So just good to see you, Alan. Just want to know that we see you. Speak your name. What's your definition of a Star Wars collectible? Just that, I guess.
Yeah,
anything that's collectible that has Star Wars attached to it.
Yeah.
You know?
That one thing that one sucker that opens up in Jar Jar Binks.
Literally gonna say the same thing. Wow. Like
wavelength, man. Wavelength,
Reason I was gonna say it is because I saw a horrific reel the other day. Someone was like, trying an original 1999 Jar Jar sucker, and it was gross, man.
Yeah.
And
but he did it anyway?
He did it anyway.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it was awful.
Okay.
It was slimy. It was nasty.
Yeah.
That's so funny that you thought I thought the exact same thing. Marcus.Katie. I remember an Anakin action figure I had as a kid with a magnet in his hand, and he came with a metal lightsaber so he could use the Force to pull it to himself. Loved that toy as a kid. Dude, I never heard of that. That sounds cool.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Adam.C.Gilbert13, Lego and TCG cards. Faves being 2012 Millennium Falcon Lego and getting started on the Star Wars Unlimited wagon.
Ooh, maybe we should talk sometime. That's all I'm saying. It's good stuff.
From Sequan49, Lego. And that's something I didn't talk about, but Lego was important to me when I was growing up as well.
Yeah.
It's like with the figures to me.
Yeah.
7567 miles per hour MPH there. Lightsabers of various makes, legacy, neopixel, etc. Yes, like I mentioned, I think that's kind of the gold standard for Star Wars collecting these days. It's like you're either collecting the vintage collection, the Black Series, or lightsabers, or all three.
Yeah.
Darth_Christensen17. I think of lightsabers, Funko Pops, and Lego sets as the best forms of Star Wars collectibles. Hey, all marries with Star Wars really well.
True.
Josh Price, gotta be my Mark Hamill photo op and autograph. The memory of meeting him makes it my best. It's very cool.
It is cool.
Yeah, it's on my bucket list. Probably won't happen. I think he's done with cons, but that's really neat. I kind of regret missing it at Chicago Comic-Con. But I got to live vicariously through Tony. So Michael _ Kramer 98. Do you guys have any plans for the holidays? So question for us. So I'll answer. I assume you're asking for the show. So yeah, we will have a show through Thanksgiving. We've been pre-recording. So we're going to be pre-recording a week in advance for a couple of weeks. Just a little peek behind the curtain. So there will be one for Thanksgiving. And then we have plans for the Christmas season. Skeleton Crew will be running for that. I don't know if we're going to have a Christmas special per se. We'll see.
I think we should, but we'll see. Might take a Christmas miracle, but who knows?
Time is very hard to come by these days. So hopefully we could work something out there. But yeah, so that's the plan. But there'll be content. I'll be on the DNC. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
Bodkins Comics. There you go.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Love that medium. I know you hate the medium of comics.
No, I don't hate it. Who said I don't hate it?
You said that you've never really liked comics.
No, I said I never really got into them. I don't hate them.
All right.
I love the art on them, and I love the storytelling medium.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I don't like, because I've been reading the Thrawn trilogy comic, kind of the omnibus that came out.
Yeah, but that's
they're like fast. That's why.
Yeah, they're like what do you want to say that they're
like spark.
They're abridged.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do that whole book. I mean, think about how long it would be.
Oh, I know.
How many panels would just be Thrawn sitting and looking at artwork while Pellion's, feeling bad about himself. That like there'd be so much of that. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Padawan _ Pops Funkos now, but Hasbro action figures as a kid. Oh yeah, dude, the Hasbro action figures. Reese's Pieces of Poodoo. Connor got me back on the Galactic Heroes wagon. Love those little guys. I forgot to mention that. That's in here. But yeah,
check
I was
them
into
out.
These too.
He started picking up Galactic Heroes because of you. That's fun.
Look at that.
Yeah.
They are fun, dude. We saw some at ICCC. I kind of regret not getting that giant pack with the Jedi Starfighter.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'd put it.
Yeah.
JT Lovecraft. Growing up was the 3 3/4 figs and Lego. Late teen to now licensed Lucasfilm art, comics, and helms. Yes, and if you remember JT's art from last week, stellar stuff. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool collecting hobby, like that side of it. It's pretty interesting.
No, I'm a sucker for anything like that, like those Clone Wars lithographs that I brought in when we were reviewing the Gindi stuff. Like,
yeah.
I'm super into that kind of stuff.
For sure.
Yeah, little pieces of history.
BC _ Scrubs. The Kinder toys is what comes to mind for me because that's what I collected as a kid.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Kinder stuff is so much fun. I have, and again, it's not something I brought up here. I have an original ROTJ Luke. Found at a flea market when I was a kid. That's one of my favorites that I still have. The Galactic Cantina 66. Not really a collector, but I do love me some sabers going full Grievous. Hey, like I said, see, this is what I mean. I said this up at the top. Like, people who don't collect, they still like lightsabers.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, who doesn't love a lightsaber?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Bro Jason Winger. My collection favorite currently is the Black Series Darth Vader helmet. My end game is the Lego Venator. Ooh, that is a grail item.
Yes.
It's pretty slick. This is so silly. There are these 3D puzzles. I think they have a Venator one, and that's one that I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think it looks good enough where it would look good in the background in photos.
Yeah.
Because there's not really any like scale of the Venators, which I love that ship. Floron Mandalore. TVC. It's the 3.75 inch figures that have been made since Kenner started. I'm obsessed. Yeah, I've been tempted to go TVC, honestly. I like what they're doing there a lot more than
I love their
the
play
Black Series.
sets.
Yes.
They're little worlds that I think that's cool, and that I think it's cool that we can double use them for the show.
Yeah, I know. If you never don't know that, we use some TVC sets sometimes for our skits.
Yeah.
We do some like scale manipulation.
I think that's so
stuff.
cool.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
StarDotWars.nerd00. I think figures and sabers. Easily my favorite one that's not with me anymore is my Anakin telescoping saber and my Kenobi Episode 3 electronic saber. So many memories with those. I do have the Kenobi electronic, and I cannibalized it years ago, and I regret it so much. It was fully working. It was like one of these, but I cannibalized it, try to make like a screen accurate prop.
Oh.
I'm so stupid. I don't know why I did that. And lastly, from Noah Belante, minifigures. What is each of y'all's most prized favorite collectible from the Star Wars universe? It's either this Darth Vader right here, that C-3PO I pulled out, or if I really had to come down to it, this right here.
The Boba Fett that's at home is pretty important to me. I was trying to think of anything else that like really I'm like trying to think about everything that I have that's Star Wars.
Right.
That book that I showed on our Christmas episode.
That book is so cool.
Yes, that book that I showed on our Christmas episode. Go check that out. It's just this really, really old Star Wars book that came out like the year the movie came out. And like, again, like the opening's wild because it talks about like, it's the Journal of the Wills.
Yeah.
And it's the adventures of Luke Skywalker. Like it is like,
oh shoot. That's the one that's Alan Dean Foster, right?
it says it's written by George Lucas.
Yes. It's based on his screenplay, but I think Alan Dean Foster adapted it.
Oh, okay.
He did like Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Yeah. So anyway, it's probably that because of the memories of that.
Yeah,
because I remember
cool.
stealing that, like getting that from the library and not being able to read it and everything because I was too young. And then like it was kind of wild because I went back years later and tried to buy it, and she just was like, "No, I remember you liking this. You can just have it."
It's a really cool story.
So it was cool.
That's neat.
Yeah. So probably that or my Boba Fett.
Well, this was a ton of fun. Memory lane.
Oh, yes.
I'd love to hear your guys' stories in the comment section about your favorite Star Wars collectibles, kind of the memories you have with them. I think that's a lot of the fun of collecting. Because nobody really collects just to collect. I don't think. I think there's something to that.
Oh yeah.
There's a memory associated to it. There's a feeling you're chasing, you know? And like you said, it's a lot about, connecting with other people. And for me, it's about creating art. And experiences with video games is really fun. That's with a lot of my friends. That's what we do. We like going conventions and going to game hunts and things like that. And I think that's really cool. It's a really awesome part of the fandom. And I think that no fandom does collecting better than Star Wars.
Kind of ingrained in the DNA. We talked about that at the top.
Absolutely. It's like it's a part of it.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear your stories there in the comments down below. Be on the Whoa, we're in a couple of different shirts. How about that? Hey, so tomorrow, Saturday, the day after this episode comes out, we're going to have back-to-back live streams. The first one, unboxing
Twilight of the Republic, Star Wars Unlimited's most recent expansion.
Yeah, we're taking a page out of our friend Tony's book. We're going to do it in a live stream format. So get in there. It's a lot of fun. I had so much fun watching Tony's. I was like, man, we got to do this as a live stream. It would just getting the interaction.
Yeah.
And then right after that, we're going to be going on stream for a little Super Bombad Racing, followed by a little Lego Star Wars on the PS2 on Beyond the Dune Sea Retro Arcade. So come hang out with us tomorrow for a couple live streams. Super stoked about that. Be on the lookout what time those are going to be. I'm not 100% sure, but we are going to do them back to back with a short break in between so that we can reset the equipment to do the gaming stream. So yeah, come hang out. And if you can't join the live stream, be sure to check out those VODs when they drop.
In next week's episode, we're going to ponder the question, what if?
And that's what we'll leave you with. Next week, same Dune time, the same Dune channel.
You better believe it'll be Dune in time.
We will see you next week.